Tēnei au ki te hokai nei taku tapu ai. Ko te hokai nuku, ko te hokai rangi, ko te hokai ato tupuna tāne nui a rangi. I pikitia rā ki te ranga tūhaha ki te tihi o mano no i roku hina atu rā ko i o matu kore anake. I riri o iho ai te kete o te wānanga, ko te kete tuatea, ko te kete tua uri, ko te kete aronui. Ka tiritiri ka popoa, ka popotua nuku. Ka puta te ere tangata ki te whaiau, ki te ao marama, whanno. Hara mai te mauri, haumi hui tai ki A he aha te hau e wawara mai. He tiu he raki. Nāna ia mai te puputara ki hikiuta. E tikene atu e au te kō tiko i te pauwhakairoka tū ki te waitemata i oku wairangi e. Te hea wā mauri ora. I aku nui, i aku waka, i aku pītau hakarei, ko tai mai i roti te karanga o te kaupapa te ahi nei, nau mai, hara mai, whakatau mai. Nau mai i roti tēnei o tātou whale a tāhua, ki te whakapiripiri mai i a tātou i roti te kaupapa nei, nau mai. Hara mai i roti te karanga o te whare māria tātou i kaupapa, o lātou e hāngai tēnei kaupapa mā tātou, a hara mai. Whakatau mai hoki i rungi tēnei whenua, a waipapa, tēnei wāhi o tātou i roti te pukapua tāmaki makaurau, i roti te mana Ngāti Whātua rākau, whakatau mai. Ko te tuatahi mawehe ki te atua, ko i te tīmatatanga me te whakautinga o ngā mea katoa. Ko te tuaroa, tiki ana me mihi atu ki te kiingi tū heitia, noho ana i te hure o tapu. Mauri a mai o koutou i tini āhuatanga ki te tūhono nā āhuatanga oko nei, o tēnei whenua ko te reo roa, tētahi o nā āhuatanga katoa. E ngā mate katoa ki tēnei wā, e maumahara na mātou ki a rātou, ko whitirangitia. A rātou ki a rātou, i roto i te tirohanga o te atua, tātou ki a tātou, e noho mai nei, i roto i tēnei ao marama, tēnā koutou katoa. Ka tuana hau mō nā kaiwhakarite o tēnei huihuinga, ki te mihi atu ki a koutou, hara mai ki tēnei wānanga o tātou, waipapa taumata rau me ki, nōku te heonere, ko te tari o te PVC Māori, me te o tātou ihorangi, Professor Dawn Freshwater, ki te mihi atu ki a koutou ki tēnei wā. Hara mai koutou wā. Hara mai hoki i roti tō tātou whale, i roti te mana o tō tātou tō e sulu Damon Salesa, me o mātou whanaunga mai te noa moana nui a kiwa, e mihi atu ki tēnei wā. I roti i tēnā, tika ana me mihi au ki o koutou tini whakapapa, i o koutou tini hononga kia tātou, i roti te kaupapa nei, ka huri au ki tērā o nā reo, ka hakamara mai te tino kaupapa i moi e tātou, a tēnā koutou katoa. And as we have the background music of the window shades rattling against the edges of the whale, which there's some sort of cultural imperative in that, I'm sure. It's my privilege on behalf of Te Whare Mārea Tātari Kaupapa to welcome you here today, also on behalf of the University of Auckland, or Waipapa Taumata Rau, as we're calling it these days. And also on behalf of Ngāti Whātua Rākei, just give you these warm words of welcome. It's appropriate that we have a kaupapa such as this close to the first trading centre within Auckland here, Waipapa. The establishment of Auckland began September 18th, 1840, when Apiahai Te Kāwau gifted the land to Governor Hobson's representatives in order to have this place established. So I stand here on behalf of my ancestor to offer these words again as were uttered back in those times, but also to bring us together under this kaupapa of trade, but really embedded within hononga ki te tangata, whakawhanaungatanga, and the manaakitanga to one another, the responsibilities that we have one another in terms of building enduring relationships. So in the words of this place, ko nawhi pai tēnā mōku, just to acknowledge those of you that are on the other side of the globe, different parts of the country, kei te mihi ki a koutou katoa. I should have said at the beginning that I was going to be speaking i te reo Māori, so that was another language, not a poor connection. So I just want to acknowledge you all. Welcome to our space. Wairua, whakaro, kei te mihi ki a koutou katoa. Kia tātou i noho mai nei, kei te mihi ki a koutou katoa. I'll close it off there, but welcome again on behalf of the organisers of today's event and tomorrow's event. I can't stay for the duration of the event because I'm going through a modern day or contemporary torturous event, Iron Māori we call it, tomorrow down in Napier. So as you'll be enjoying lunch, breakfast, afternoon tea, coffee, all of those things, I'll be into my 4th hour of slogging away. So think of me when you're having these fruitful conversations, but I'm wishing you all the best on behalf of our university. Kia te mihi kia koutou katoa, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Before I hand over to my brother Le Moa here, Henry, I'll just close off with a waiata. And also, again, those of you that are participating from different parts of the world, you can sing after you speak. So I'm letting you know now, and everyone's expecting it. So be ready. Papaki mai, ngāgaru nunui, wāwaratia, ngā tairere, e ripo e, ngāgaru nunui te rehutai, hei konei rā. Tēnā whetera, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa.
Mea, kutia koe, rangatira. Me kai arataki o tēnei wānanga i te kōrero mai te reo Māori no reira tēnā koutou. Tēnā koutou, ngā mea tika koutou katoa. Tūlai atu le awatele ma le whaalualo. Whai e le leo ma whangatau moli le awhionga le toi sulusulu o le sui iao Pasifika i le University of Auckland. Mai se foi o ulu ma tā ngaluenga ma ulu ma tā uputai tasi e le ngata foi lea le maota Pasifika. Le e whai mao ngata tonunga le mua le ao tauina o le ngangana le anganuu o tū maanga Pasifika Maui. Ma tau te whaape atu le awatele ma le whaalualo. Tā lofa lava. Ma loe le lei ni sambula ki orana koutou katoa toa e te iara. Tā loha ni tā lofa lava mea mai. E fia ki mautolu, ki tali le lei, ki tautolu, ki mawhana lo tō, ki wa ai atu, misua atu, tō tangata mo mai le lano langi ato. Whaafitai le nea wanoa, o tō whiwhilia ai, le nei maotam, le nei nofuanga, tātou te whiloa ai fia ai. Fe tuwha ai fu inisi ala, a wā le tuwha inga, ma le ala ngā oa whātaua inga, i le ala il se leni, ia manisi foi au wala molona fale le ia tili. Taftai foi le sunga le rangatira o le maota maoli po le malai o le so tanga lava lea o Aotearoa le mana whenua whaatasi ai foi ia ma se tau mawhainga moana Pasifika po le moana nui a kiwa. Mātou te whape atu le awatele ma le whaaloalo a fio mai, tala mai ao, ia su mai, ia manuia lava le alo whaiva foi i whonotanga masani, mai se foi ma tā upu le atalo noina. Ma wase ai nei, ia awase la au e malu ai fo'i i tupulanga tai au. I won't go any further. All the tapu, all the taboo of the place, the whare, the marae, malai nei, the brother here has already spoken upon, so I won't drag it any longer. I've been told that we only have 15 minutes, and Michael took 10 minutes, so that leaves me with 5. But it's a great honor to speak on behalf of the PVC Pacific, to welcome everyone here today in our Fale Pasifika. Whawhile atu fo'i e lo mai mua mai i atu numa mau e ala fo'i penga te whailangi, mai fiso te inga whaneo na po, ia anga leleile atu e fuanga uma, mata ia te ia, whaiu ia te ia, ia mawalunga pea sona vi inga. Since my brother finished off with a waiata, I will finish off with a waiata as well, because he's now made it mandatory. E lo utama e ua whaafetai, ua sililo, ua lo whamai, ua whaia, ia umata mawhai, ta whaamanu aine. Hei ua whaafetai, ua whaamanu, ua whaimau, so Yesu e olai au, e whaavavau, whaavavau ta whaamanu aine. le awa tele ma le whaalualo, whaafitai. Ngā mihi atu kia koutou katoa, tēnā koutou, ngā mihi atu kia koutou katoa. Le awa nole neo te wala o tuai, le unua i sa unuanga te talalo ia ilo tātou wha moe moe, sunga te mai taipolo ofisa ia Jenny Dixon, o le sui ia o le Universitea o Kilani, su mai matala mai au ia molo unua i sa unuanga. I'm sure Jenny understood all that. But in case you didn't, on behalf, I'd just like to call upon Jenny Dixon, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor. This is her time to speak. Can you please put your hands together for Jenny?
Tēnā koutou katoa. Talofa lava, maloele, warm Pacific greetings. And I'd just like to add to the welcomes you've received already, a very warm welcome to the University of Auckland and of course to our beautiful Whale Pacifica. I'd like to acknowledge participants joining us in person and online from New Zealand, the Pacific, the foreign missions of Samoa, the Cook Islands, Fiji, Papua New Guinea, Tuvalu, Canada, the United Kingdom, the Netherlands, the United States and Ireland. This is our second Auckland Trade and Economic Policy School, hosted by the university's Public Policy Institute and with the support of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade and our university's APEC Studies Centre. I would like to especially acknowledge the Ministry. NFAT is an amazing supporter of this event, and in particular, Deputy Secretary Vangali Vitalis. That we can come together around this Trade and Economic Policy School shows the power of connections, our shared belief in the exchange of knowledge, and our responsibility to our country to advance ideas. We come together today in person and online. This dual approach to a conference has been locked in throughout a year of COVID-19, and that there can be 90 people in the whale speaks volumes to New Zealand's pandemic response. It's difficult to imagine that just 12 months ago, the first Trade and Economic Policy School saw 7 international speakers fly in from around the world to discuss, alongside our local experts, the profound disruptions facing trade policy and how a country like New Zealand could respond. The school last year focused on the impact of new technologies, how best to redesign the World Trade Organization and the ongoing trade war. All I can say is what an impact a year can make. Last year's themes remain with us and resonate more loudly than they did 12 months ago, bringing fresh and anticipated challenges. Thanks to COVID-19, we are witnessing tight restrictions on the movement of people, goods and services, falls in business and consumer confidence and slowing production. And geopolitical tensions have increased. This global context points to the continued importance of a trade for all agenda and ensuring existing and new trade agreements and initiatives look to manage inclusive and sustainable trade in our volatile economic and political environment. It's a challenging time to be talking about trade for 2 days. Yet it's a critical time as nations around the world look to rebuild social license and meet sustainable development goals. Over the next 2 days, you'll hear from national and international experts. During this time, we will welcome the UK Minister of State for Trade Policy online and New Zealand's Trade and Export and Growth Minister and Climate Change Minister. Experts will join us from Washington, the WTO, the OECD and Canada. Our own local trade, business and academic specialists will join you in reviewing and assessing what you have heard in a range of panel discussions. New Zealand assumes the role of APEC Chair in 2021. Not only that, the hosting will be virtual due to the pandemic. Chairing APEC at any time is a mammoth undertaking. But to commit to 12 months of virtual meetings with thousands of delegates in 11 time zones, spanning a 17-hour time difference, is mind-boggling. The year will provide New Zealand with an opportunity to rejuvenate the trade agenda and to ensure that agenda includes a strong focus on the significance of the Māori economy and Indigenous trade, on sustainability, and on ways to advance gender-inclusive trade. I like to think that the Auckland Trade and Economic Policy School in December 2020, on the eve of New Zealand's APEC chairing role, is a scene setter. The next 2 days will begin a New Zealand-focused public discussion on trade, which will run throughout 2021. I would like to conclude with a few words of thanks to our Public Policy Institute Director, Professor Jennifer Curtin, and her team. In 2020, many events like this have foundered. That we are here today is a tribute to the Policy Institute and its policy school supporters. I think you're in for a couple of fabulous days. Thank you for joining us, either in person or online. Over to you, Jennifer. Ka kite anō.
Tēnā koutou katoa, nā mihi nui ki a koutou. Nau mai, haere mai, ki te whare wānanga o Tamaki Makaurau. Ko Jennifer Curtin toko wengawa, kei te Waikato I whakatipu au. Nō kirikiri roa, aho, tēnā koutou katoa. Thank you, Michael, Damon, Henry, and Deputy Vice-Chancellor Jenny Dixon for your welcome. And good afternoon, everyone here in the whale and online. My name is Jennifer Curtin, and I'm the Director of the Public Policy Institute. And on behalf of the team at the PPI and our colleagues at MFAT, I welcome you to the University of Auckland for this inaugural, well, it's not the inaugural online version of the Auckland Trade and Economic Policy School. My job right now is to do the housekeeping. So before we begin formally, I need to, for those of you that are here in person, direct you to the bathrooms. You don't go on the planes much anymore, right? So, follow the lights outside and all of that sort of thing. If smoking isn't allowed anywhere on campus, I won't tell you where you should go to have a cigarette, but please don't do it on campus. We're not allowed to consume refreshments in the tiled courtyard outside the whale. So please hang around in here to eat or go out onto the road. And if there's a fire, you need to make your way in an orderly fashion out to Wynyard Street, which is just beyond the courtyard. If you would like to know about what to do in an earthquake, please ask the person next to you who's bound to be from Wellington. Here in Auckland, it's the volcanoes that we worry about. And as you know from your program, this is a blended conference, meaning we have pre-recorded international speakers for you, which we will play, and we have live panels of local experts. And we have you, the participants here in the whale, and we have our participants online. But there's one really important housekeeping matter that applies to all of you, to the chairs of the session and to the participants. Because of our blended delivery, we really need to keep to time. So we would ask you to respect the time cards that are flashed at you when you're speaking. And if you could return to your tables from coffee on time as well, that would be just great. But in the meantime, welcome. We're going to get underway. Kia ora, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Just talk amongst yourselves while I get back to my chair.